and welcome to the episode of Deal Talk. I'm Deal Let's Talk. My guest is a returning guest, so she'll talk about a brand new book called The Crystal Field. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Pamela Aloia.
Hi, DIOTAK. Thanks for having me.
Welcome back. It's an
Good.
honor
Thank
having you and your
Yes,
family.
thanks. Yeah,
So
I love being on your show. I love your show, so I'm very, very excited to be back. Thank you.
thank you. I appreciate it. So what's going on? What's new? You're here. You're back with a brand new book. Talk to me.
Well, I have a new book out. It's called Crystal Field. I have it right here. And
Oh,
what I really
nice.
love about this is it's such a tiny book. Look at this thing. I love it. It's so cute. But what I like it is a young reader's book, and you'll see there are some, there's some pictures in there, things like that. I don't know if you can see very well on the
Oh,
screen.
nice. Yes.
But I felt that, I mean, children's writing and writing a book for children is something I always wanted to do. And I actually would go a little younger. I think this book is more for like around the 7, 8-year-old kind of
Mm,
age group. But the I don't want to give the premise away, but it's about believing in the magic. And with everything going on where we're constantly talking about the differences in people, whether it's, our preferences, our lineage and things like that, and how different we are. This kind of brings us all back together because I believe that we're in this world together. We're all here to support each other in some way, some fashion. And this kind of brings that idea back to us, and
right.
as children, I think it's important for children to remember that because they're getting so indoctrinated with everybody, all of the adults' views on things that they don't really have too much time to think for themselves. So I'm hoping that this just kind of opens the doorway for them to think a little bit more about how similar we all are. And it's in that teamwork and in that unity that we actually grow and can flourish. So
Wow.
it's deep. I said it deep, but it doesn't, it's much lighthearted when you read the book.
Yeah, yeah. No, but I get it though. It's a
Yeah.
great perfect purposeful book.
Yes. Yes.
Um what what inspired you to write this? Like what was that moment that a clarity that you were like, I'm gonna do this. I want to write this.
I will say it was probably my husband kind of giving me that nudge. I
Mm,
have so many started stories and so many started books that I haven't finished a lot. In fact, I have a second children's book that I'm working on right now too, and that is what I really want to focus on in in lieu of other things that I'm working on too. That's going to be my priority. But I think it was more him saying, listen, you've written books before, and this is what we think might be even an easier one because it's shorter. It doesn't have all the text that some of my other books have had where
yeah.
you have to go through in-depth editing and potentially reorganization. Honestly, it's the same thing. It's just a shorter book in a way, and you have to keep the terminology a little lighter so that kids can understand it,
Yeah.
obviously. But then there's also the picture piece to it. So I have to say, organizing the and formatting the book was a little more tedious than some of the other books that I've had. And I will say, Amazon has also increased. I think it was as of last year, they had increased their the print costs. So that
Wow.
was another thing that kind of I was like, wow, okay, now we have to keep that in mind, when we're selling the book and getting the book out there, which is not something I've had to think about too much with my other books because they're
Right.
mostly text. So, it was fun. It was a learning process. Again, even though I've done it, 4 or 5 times before, it was still a learning process. But
I can imagine.
yeah, yeah. But yeah, I think my husband Michael just said, just do it. Just do it. Just prioritize it and do it. And that's what we did. So
Nice, nice. I'm happy to hear that. How long did it take you to finish writing it? Like from your, initial drafts to your final one, and you said, all right, this is it. We're done here.
I'm not sure if I should say this or not, but probably 2 years.
Oh wow.
And I'll say what the story itself didn't take long at all. It was the pictures and rendering the pictures and taking more pictures, seeing how we wanted to do it. Did we want to have them drawn? Did we want to take pictures and we do them digitally? So that's the thing that took us a little while. And believe it or not, I guess it was in February, we said, okay, we need to get this done. We've been kind of dragging our heels, whatever, we need to agree on the photos. And
Hmm.
then we did, everything was laid out. We did one last edit and we're like, we got to change a couple things in this story. The story needs this, this, and this. And we're like, oh my gosh, we're so close. It took, I guess, from beginning to end, probably about a couple of years, but I think it's okay. You know, it's here, it's done. I'm excited.
Yeah. I mean, but to your defense, it takes years because, it's so busy. It's so busy,
Yeah,
like there's so many things you got to do. And like you said, you have, because as you're writing, your mind is like in this mechanical process. You think about something and it brings out one idea and then another idea. So
exactly.
it's like focusing on this,
Yeah.
and as you focus on what you're evolving and you're getting more ideas. So it's a process. It's a beautiful process.
It really is. It really is. And with the next book that I'm working on, I already have the premise of the story, and I had written a first draft, and I'm thinking it needs a little something else. So I'm back to the drawing board. I have like the beginning and the end, and now I'm kind of mixing up the middle a little bit because like you said, it's exploring different avenues and
Hmm.
see which one really fits and feels good. So
Nice. Is there any meaning, because it has an amazing name, the Crystal Field? Like,
there is.
if you say you find
You kind of got to read the book to know.
oh, okay. Well, but no,
I
I
know in a
find that
different way.
incredible.
Um, but I mean, there are crystals involved. But it's about, again, it's about the magic, and if we open up our hearts enough and let go of our perceptions and really be led by the magic within, we find the magic without. You know,
Yeah,
it
yeah.
is there for us, and that's really what the crystal piece kind of brings into it. And it also brings in the piece that we're all connected. We're
Hmm.
all connected. We're connected to Mother Earth. Mother Earth is connected to us, and everybody, all the inhabitants, the plants, the animals, everything is, we're all one. Yes, we're separate, but we're on this planet, you know, and keeping that unity, I think, is really important in mind.
I'm into that. No, that's beautiful. That's beautiful. I know you do Reiki. What was that? Did that help you inspire you in some way or form to finish it off and give it your magic touch?
Yeah, yes, I would have to say Reiki's you know, is a huge part of my life in general. So it's a daily practice that I have, but especially towards the end, I was definitely putting in some more Reiki into the book, into some of the sessions, especially when you're dealing with technology,
Mm,
sure I'm centered and things like that.
a lot of patience.
And patience is a good word, yes.
Is it like, I know you mentioned like the wording and the way you write it. Like how is it challenging from writing, like you write adult books for those seeking inspiration, to writing a children book? Like, is it difficult to just break everything down and make it more simpler for them to read?
It's different because most of the books that I've written so far are have been more factual,
Okay.
and as opposed to this is creative. Now I do a lot of creative writing on my own. I just haven't published a ton of it. So is it, to me, word choice is incredibly important. Even in the sessions that I do with individuals, using the right words, especially doing energy work. I feel like if somebody's trusting their energy with me, that's a
Mm,
sacred moment. And I need to make sure that that moment stays sacred. So the words that are used in that session um, are most usually as uplifting as they can be. You know, we don't want to put any of
mhm,
the lower vibrating words in there. So words in general are important. And as a writer, if you've ever talked to any other authors, especially of fictional books, that you need to come up with, in order to convey the landscape or the situation, the right words, just, you know, one off word can tweak
mm,
it, just be like, oh, well, I don't know if that's really clear, you know. And the way Michael and I were thinking about is, if we can see it on the screen, how would you want to see it on the screen? Be as descriptive as
mm.
you possibly can, but succinct, so that we don't lose the kid, you know, the children reading the book. So yeah, I think that the you asked if it was difficult. I won't say it was difficult. It was more of the same, but with a different perspective, a different lens.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, yeah, correct.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, because you have to put yourself in that in that world to express a better form of writing to get it right. So
Exactly. Yes.
you guys are kind of genius in a way.
Oh, thank you. I'm not sure about genius. It's just, I think is basically what you said, putting yourself in, because it's talking about two children, Sarah
Hmm.
and Cody, and getting into their mindset. And it also brings you back to your childhood, whether
Hmm.
how it was or how you wanted it to be, or, just bringing you back to the innocence of who we were as kids. It's really fun. It brings that
Yeah, yeah,
heartfulness back
yeah.
out. Yeah.
How do you feel now? Like, because it's 2 years, but it's finally here now. How do you feel now? Able to see something that you took you a while, right? Because it
Yeah.
takes everybody a while, but to finally actually see it's here, go purchase it right now, right? Like
Yes.
that feeling of gratitude of hard work, you must feel exhilarating in a way.
So it's exciting. It is exciting. I will say, um, at one point I was like, I just want this done. I'm tired of getting the proofs. I'm done. I'm ready, and finally when we said, okay, this is the release date, we're gonna release it. And I know people who have purchased it, if you worked with Amazon before, once it's released, people can get their copies fairly quickly. If
Hmm.
you order author copies, it takes a little bit a little while for them to
Hmm.
send them out. It takes a couple weeks. So people were getting their books before I even got my copies. So when they
Nice.
finally came, I was definitely excited. It is something to receive the finished book and it's done. And there is this gratifying excitement that is part of releasing a book. So it is nice, yes.
It's a piece of you. It's a piece of you.
Yeah,
It's your baby. Because it's you
yeah,
put so much energy and passion to these things. Like you just seeing it. It's like, seeing your baby for the first time. Like it's exciting.
yeah, it is. It is. It is. So
You how is you guys use Amazon to produce your
so for this book we did, yes. We looked at different places and there are so many places out there now.
yes.
I do want to get onto Apple Docs, I believe it is. I need to do a little more research on what's involved there. This was again, like I said, kind of something we wanted to get out fairly quickly, and for us, Amazon was the easiest way to do so.
Hmm.
Plus, the size of the book that it is an off size, and Amazon was able to accommodate that. It's not a standard size, so that was also something to consider. Print costs everywhere are a little
Yeah.
pricey,
Yeah. Yeah.
so I mean, I say this, maybe I shouldn't say this, but we're not making money off of books. You know what I mean?
I hear that. Yeah.
It's a creative
Absolutely.
process that's fun and hopefully people enjoy it.
Hmm.
But we're definitely based on how much time and effort and cost is involved. It's more a labor of love.
Hmm. No, the world has changed drastically, like just just a simple to print a book, it's incredible. Amazon will charge you an arm and a leg.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's understandable.
And that's why I think the Kindle and the ebooks are so good too.
Yes.
Is that it's affordable and it is easier. There's some people though really like to have that book in their hand. I'm one of these people. I like having a book.
Yeah, me too.
I
Me
have a
too.
book. Yeah.
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 Have you thought of by not now but later in the future creating such an audiobook for it?
Yes.
That'd be
Yes.
awesome.
Yes. Yes. We're thinking, yes, we're researching that now. So potentially on the future too. One of the other books I wrote or had written, I think it was the Daily Cloak I was on with you a couple of years back. That was 2020, I believe. I'd like to get that in an audiobook as well.
Oh, nice. Nice.
Yeah.
That would be awesome. I
Yeah.
think there's so much potential because, audiobooks are becoming very popular since like I want to say podcasting has emerged.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
Um like I know like I when I'm alone because I can't do it when I'm around people. When I'm alone, I tend to enjoy them. Like I'm reading, like I'm not reading. I'm listening to Matthew McConaughey,
Uh-huh.
Go Green
Yeah.
Light, I think it's
Yeah.
called.
Yeah.
I've listened to it several times, but
Okay.
it's such a good book. Like I'm not sure it's because he's reading it, but sometimes you have these books like I have the was it 40 Powers of Law. I
Mhm.
have the book and I have the audiobook, and it's like the audiobook is so boring. Like I'm listening to this well-educated British man speaking in low. tone voice. And it's like I'm trying to really grasp, understand these laws and get into it. I'm like, oh my God.
So you're saying the guy's pretty boring and then
Yeah, yeah, pretty much. But to hear like a kid's book, like it's very exciting. You're passionate, like you can hear it. I could just imagine it now.
awesome, great. Yeah, I can too. I can
Well, there you
too.
have it.
Yes.
So any future project you want to release after you publish you release this one?
So yeah, after I'm actually working on I don't say it's new. I'm formalizing it a bit more. As we had talked about the last time, I do a lot of work with individuals,
Hmm.
with the energy work. I also work with folks who are grieving. I've done some hospice work, but I do also some
Oh
grief
wow.
coaching. I also work with a lovely company. I'm not sure if you've heard of them. It's an organization called Unite for Her, and they are an organization uh, that helps women who are going through breast cancer, ovarian cancer, and I believe uterine cancer as well. Helps them have a year's worth of alternative therapies while they're going through their cancer
Hmm.
treatments. So based on all the people and I don't want to put it just to those folks, but just ordinary people in general. Not everybody, but so many people have gone through amazing challenges, whether it's through disease, whether it's through loss of job, new careers, loss of people in their lives, things like that. And they've come through it with this amazing resilience. Um, whether it's divorce, whether it is, losing your home because of a fire, or who knows, right? Whatever challenges you've gone through. And I feel that there are a lot of people whose story would be beneficial for other
Yeah.
people to share. That would be a fabulous end goal, but it's also important for people to just write their story or even talk about their story. In doing so, I found that when we work on one-on-one, and I'm going to be starting with groups soon too at the end of May, to help them write their story, they start healing from it. And that is the gem that we're looking for. If people wanted to share with
Hmm.
it
Hmm.
and share their story and publish it later on, that's fine. We can obviously do that too. Um, but I'm finding that when I'm working with folks who have a story that they need to process, or they haven't really let go. I would say let go of it, because that story does stay with us
Hmm.
and it
Hmm.
does kind of shape us for who we are. But we can increase our confidence, get to a place of acceptance or forgiveness, um, really find our power, and get to that resilient piece of ourselves that we may have lost through the experiences that we've had. And that's what writing our story, I believe, does. And that's what I've seen happen with some of my clients is once we write through it, not only do we see what we've been through, we acknowledge it, we start to feel heard, and we see some of the good things that came out of it that we may not have seen while we were going through it.
Yeah.
And then at some points, like I said, some people at the end of writing their story, sometimes that's all they need. They just feel so much more peaceful. They feel that they've purged some emotion that they didn't feel safe enough to do so up until that point. And then some people will say, like, oh my gosh, I think other people might benefit from hearing what I went through, because
Yeah.
if they're going through the same thing, maybe this will provide some inspiration. So what I would like to do, and what I'm offering folks now, and like I said, more formalizing it, is to provide people the opportunity and the space to do that, whether it's through prompting them for specific things to write about. I do
Hmm.
actually have a day workshop where it is writing your transformational story in a day. And again, that transformational story can be any events that you or even somebody else has experienced that affected you, that could have changed your life, your perspective, your
Yeah.
relationship, your career, whatever it is. And get to a space where you're at peace with it and you can move on. Because a lot of times when something happens to us, we stay in a space, and it kind of keeps us from moving forward
Hmm.
in whatever it is we want to move forward with. And I'm seeing that when we write about it, people get to a point where like, okay, I feel like I can move on now. I've really analyzed it, done what I needed to with it, face the emotion that's come up with it, and I can move on without that anxiety, without that fear, without that low self-esteem or whatever it was that they were getting from that story. So that's what I'm working on right now. I'll be doing my first group session on May 18th. It's going to be an online session. And we work through different prompts to get some of this information out. And we do a lot to deal with the emotion that comes up when we write about the story. Now, there are some folks who are truly ready to write, and they're just like, let's go, let's get this done. And they're really doing well. Other people are a little tentative because, there is that emotion that they're
Yes,
not
yes.
facing. So we need to really address that. And there are still others who are it's still a little too raw. Whatever they went through is a little too raw. So we may not want to start writing. Maybe we want to do some light journaling first before we get into actually writing the full story. So it's really taking people where they are and helping them get to where they want to be.
And this question I want to ask, like in that process, do you do with them your Reiki ceremony?
Yeah.
Because I have, since I met you, met in, incredible women who have some way or form found Reiki and has helped them tremendous. Like I want to say one of my last guests, Donna Marstall, she has a podcast called Sharing Without Shame, and where she discusses her son went through some addiction and hard times. But I want to say in that episode, I'm not sure if it's an episode or usually when we end, we talk a little bit, and she said Reiki helped her so much.
Mm-hmm.
And there's another a woman that was on the show said the same thing. So I don't know, I think what you're doing is incredible. First of all, kudos to you, mad
Thank you.
respect, because taking that step and creating something so valuable to help, whether it's feelings, emotions, just having a safe place to vent and talk without judgment.
Mm-hmm.
That's hard to do. That's
Yeah.
hard to do. And thank you, first of all. So that's all I have to say.
Uh, well, thank you for that in general. What we do though is do create that space for them, and I believe that we all have the answers within. So if there is some emotion that comes up, not only do we work with the energy and meditation and things like that throughout the session to address some of that based on what we're writing and the prompts that we're writing through, we also help to give people some additional tools that they may not have had before, or they had, and we just kind of deepen them so that they can rely on them, and feel that they have the support and the inner strength to keep moving forward, whatever that is for them. It could just be getting up in the morning, it could
Hmm.
be going to work for a full week straight, or it could just be facing a family member who they had a huge falling out with. Um, so when you asked if energy work and Reiki is part of that, yes, it sure is. It sure is.
Strength.
And I believe we all have that within in ourselves. That's why I say we have the not only the knowledge, but we also have the ability to heal ourselves, whether we are attuned to Reiki or not. There's that innate ability we have that we can access by going deep enough.
Hmm.
And that's what I believe these workshops help people do.
It's
And it's helped me
amazing.
too. I mean, I've gone through it too with some situations in my life. I wrote my own story in a day as well. And it's been, and I think I've processed stuff. And by the end of it, I'm thinking, wow, I forgot about this. And okay, so how do I transform that into something purposeful? Or do I just let it go? Do I need to do anything with it? So I do think it's heartful, and I think it's necessary so we can bring our best selves out to the world eventually.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. So what you been up to since we last time spoke? Like how has it been um just in general? Because there's a lot that's happened.
There is a lot that happened. If I had to use one word to describe it's change.
Mm.
Everything seems to be changing. Um,
Quickly,
yeah,
quickly,
quickly.
so
And
fast.
on the micro as well as the macro,
Hmm.
things are changing in my family, the dynamics, people moving out. We had one of our pets die last year.
Oh no.
Just and some changes with people's careers and things like that. It's just change. And then you've got everything going out, also going out in the world where things are changing, like you said, drastically. So it's finding the stillness, I guess is the right word, to be
Mhm.
okay with everything that's changing. While, yeah, because there was a point in time where I felt like I was trying to catch up with everything, like, oh, well, I got to do this so I can
Yeah.
be okay with this, you know. It
There's
just
that
doesn't always,
sense of rushness of.
yeah, yeah, and it doesn't always work that way,
Mhm.
you know. Um, but it's, I guess, I mean, other than the change piece, or in spite of the change piece, I think things have been good. I think they've
That's
been good,
awesome.
you know. I can't say they've been stable, but they've been good. They've been growing, but
Mhm.
definitely growing. Definitely growing.
I agree. I mean, but if it's if we didn't have this up and down, right, in our life, right,
Yeah.
and we just had it just still, it's so boring sometimes. Like I was watching, and I go back to Matthew McConaughey for some reason. I have him in my head. Like I watched this clip on Instagram where it's like sometimes, when it's sunny and beautiful, you're gonna be sad, and when it's raining, like you're happy. So it doesn't like we in life we pretend everything has to be perfect, and we're like when you're happy, it's because it's sunshine, and then when you're sad, it's because it's raining, and like sometimes you gotta dance in the rain.
Right. Yeah. I agree. I agree. I wrote something about joy a while ago, and basically it is just that joy isn't dependent on external factors. It's something
Mm-hmm,
that's going on inside us all the time. And we just need to let it shine. You know,
mm-hmm.
it's if things aren't working out the way we want them to be, we can still be joyous because we're still alive. There's
Yeah.
things to be joyous about.
Mm-hmm.
So I totally agree with that. I totally agree with that.
Yeah, that's
How
just yeah.
how have things been going on for you too?
Ah, oh, I won an award last year.
Yes, congratulations.
Thank you,
Yes, I
thank you.
saw. Yes.
I'm told that I don't brag about that often, so
Okay, good.
so
Yay.
I gave my promise, and we're like every time it comes up, I'm gonna mention
I
it.
mentioned it. Good.
Um, I don't know. It's just I don't know. It's like I've said this so many times, and we're like when it's chaotic, it's normal for me, and I'm not sure it's
Okay.
because my upbringing, whatever, but it's like it feels that's what it feels normal.
Okay.
So like when everything's calm, I was like, okay, something's about to happen because I don't understand or never had that and where what is peace like. So
Okay.
so right now I'm at a point in my life and I'm asking, what does really happy mean? Like what does that mean? If
Mm-hmm.
you live a life that's been full of chaos, and
Mm-hmm.
that's normal, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then what is peace like? What
Mm-hmm.
what 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 is a peaceful day for me? What is and I'm trying to just figure out actually these questions within myself to try to understand better myself and how
Mm-hmm.
do I find joy in my day
Mm-hmm.
because it's hard. It's hard. Business, family, the world, and some point, um, you can't control everything.
No,
Like you
definitely
can't.
not.
So you have to just let it be,
Yeah.
and you have so much people in your life sometimes, even when you walk, try and be in control of things, and like you just can't. It just drives you crazy.
There's a couple ways that I totally agree with you. It's not easy to find the joy every day at all.
Hmm.
And that is the beginning of the year I was like gung ho. I'm like, I got this joy thing.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
great, it's great. And then February hit and I'm like,
Mm,
I'm having a hard time here. You know what I mean? Every other day I'm like, I'm not sure. So it's helpful to find support from others to keep highlighting the joy parts for you.
hmm,
One thing that Michael and I will do usually regularly, I don't want to say it's every day, but regularly, we say, okay, I'm really happy that this happened today. I'm really
hmm,
glad that this happened today. Like, kind of like a gratitude journal, but just speaking it instead.
hmm,
All the things that really went well versus focusing on the stuff that didn't go well that day. Because there's always stuff that didn't go well, but there's always stuff that great did went,
hmm,
went great.
hmm,
And the other thing you said, that you're trying to understand what happy looks like, and what peacefulness looks like. I've been changing, and I don't know if this is going to work for you or maybe for your listeners, but the word happy for me is a little tough because, like we were just talking about, happiness
hmm.
sometimes externally driven, by external
Mm,
factors, then I can be happy. What am I content with in my life? Can I be
mm,
content today with everything that's happened? And I find contentment is an easier thing for me to get to. And again, that just may be my perception of happiness, but I think content is like, I'm solid. Yeah, things
mm-hmm,
didn't go too well. I'm good. I'm still good. And
mm-hmm.
I'm okay. How does that feel to you?
I think you explained what I tend to feel normal on my regular days. But it's like I asked this question because I'm in this, rare position where now I'm assisting to raise my grandchild, right? And then I have my son. And then I want him to be exceptional men.
Oh,
Whatever that form is,
okay.
I want him to be exceptional. Am
Okay.
I saying right? Exceptional? Um,
Exception. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah.
And I didn't grow up with a dad. I didn't really have a father figure. I had
Mhm.
people, I had men, but never ones that I really said, I want to be like you.
Like that. Yeah.
That I've never had that in my vocabulary or thought process.
Okay.
And they go like my son's autistic on the spectrum. He has his days. Then I have my grandson. He has his days. So like, and I want him to be happy. But what is happy? How is happy? Like you buying something you always wanted. That's momentarily. You know,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
um,
Yeah.
me doing jujitsu when I did it, that was exciting. I was happy. But like
Okay.
it's like happy with yourself. Be content. Always know you can do better, and
Mm-hmm.
always that what you do, just do it because it makes you happy.
Mm-hmm.
And also be happy with yourself. Not sometimes life relationship doesn't work out.
Mm-hmm.
People change,
Mm-hmm.
circumstance change, everything change, and everything's meant to change, right?
True.
So be happy with yourself, but also understand how to be happy with your surroundings.
Yeah.
Um, I had a news some unfortunate news last night where me and my wife do real estate. One of our clients' husbands hanged himself, which is
Oh,
super
wow.
dark, right?
Oh, wow.
And that question to me started really since yesterday to now, just really it's like really poking me.
Yeah.
Because I wanna, everybody, a strong woman, a strong man, be strong physically and mentally, but to get there, you have to be here and whatever you are and understand where you are and accept it to be able to grow. I'm not sure that makes sense.
That makes perfect sense. Yes.
So
Yes.
to the point that our last episode till now, I'm trying to just study life and embrace and learn and absorb so much. But also, very much like yourself, you're a wordsmith. You dictate and find those words like you and be able to express myself in a certain way that I can be effective in my communication
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
to be able to enlighten my children in a sense.
Yeah. That is beautiful. And that is wonderful. I mean, so many people are either too caught up in what their life is and surviving that they don't think or they don't act enough on
Hmm.
what you're talking about.
Hmm.
Either they don't know how, they don't have the time, or for whatever reason. So kudos to you for having that as a driving factor for you. I mean, that's fabulous. And for the future of our kids, we need so much of that.
Yeah.
We need so much of that out there. Um, and I like it to be effective communicating for your kids, and for everything really that goes
Hmm.
across the
Hmm.
board. Because if you can model it, especially for your children, but you're also modeling it out then for your clients and
Hmm.
whomever
Hmm.
else you're connecting with, and it gives them permission to, or even just opens the door and says, "Oh wow, I want to be like that. I want to be able
Hmm.
to communicate like that,"
Hmm.
and it starts that ripple effect
Yeah.
for people thinking about, okay, I want to do that. I
Yeah.
want to be like that. Yeah. So
Yeah.
good for you. Yeah.
I mean, it's very much like what you did with your book, right? You had to find a way to write it down, to communicate in a way, right? Because not everything can be these big words, right?
Mhm.
Like I was talking to my grandson and um somebody told them that criticizing the slang.
Mhm.
And that's and what did it say? How did it say it? And I'm saying slang is not bad. It's just it's another form of communication.
Right, right.
This is why this is developed.
Yeah.
You know, the negative about it, it's your perception, your back thought about it, but it's just a way to communicate.
Hmm.
And finding ways to communicate, like not everyone is gonna have that wordsmith mentality, big words, like, you know, I don't need you to talk to me like if you're writing an essay. Talk to me like a human being, right?
Right.
And finding, timing and plays, it's a factor because where you go, they're not gonna speak the same thing with you. But if you're able to, how do I put it, put yourself in their space and communicate effectively, the outreach will be immense. The support will be immense, you know, and that's what I've been trying to do for this whole journey.
Yeah. And I think that's really important to say that about the slang, like you were saying, because some people are going to hear they're going to hear it better if you use
Hmm.
the slang as
Hmm.
opposed to somebody who's going to be proper or whatever it is. So
Hmm.
as I was talking about earlier, we kind of meet people where they are.
Hmm.
At the same time, there's a bit of, if you're able to do that, to shift
Hmm.
how you speak to people so you can meet them where they are. That's important. But if you can't, for whatever reasons, there's also that emotional intelligence. And as long as you get that emotion
Hmm.
across, that sometimes can help bridge the gap too.
Yes,
Uh, and
yes.
and people know if you're being real, regardless how you're talking about them. People
Hmm. Yes.
feel whether you're genuine or not.
Yeah. And
So
it's a balance. It's a balance.
yeah, it is.
You
Yeah.
know, and I say communication because I've been, like my son's on the spectrum and this is the time to find schools and enroll in the schools, and that process dealing with public education is a tedious. It's
Yeah.
tedious, it's heartbreaking, it's a headache. And what I've noticed is like not a lot of dads are around,
Hmm.
and I'm so right. This is the podcast, but in my real world, right? I'm very conservative. I don't speak. I very much like to listen, right? So I've noticed that when I have these meetings with them, they listen to me.
Well, yeah.
So I is either it's communication. It's essentially it's communicating, and like you with your books and with your family, everything's communication. So that's really in a nutshell what I've been trying to do, progressing.
And that is incredibly admirable. Can you imagine if we all did that? How much further along we'd be?
Yeah.
Yeah, we wouldn't be able to. And I think as you do that, and you probably already do this already, but as you do that more, you'll start to see where people are being dishonest, maybe not even consciously. But
Hmm.
you can read behind the lines, read between the words, read behind their actions, and see what's really going on because
Yes.
you're studying that communication. And
Yes.
like we just said, communication is more than just the words. It's
Yes.
how you bring yourself and what you're able to perceive in that. And that is invaluable throughout life
Yes.
for sure.
It's a blessing and it's a curse because
It is.
everything you mention
Yeah.
is exactly how this whole process has been for me.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I've been able to witness, and it's just some heartbreaking moments,
Yes. Absolutely.
but
Yes.
that's
And
that's what it
it,
comes of.
it does. You're absolutely right. It is a blessing and a curse at the same time. But I don't want to say but because it is. There's no good way to put that.
Yeah.
If we can, and I struggle with this too, but if we can take those heartbreaking moments and say, okay, this is a lesson in acceptance. This isn't a lesson in that I don't have control over this. This is a lesson in, okay, let go and let God, or however you want to do it. And just kind of detach a little bit and say, okay, I got to go find my joy now. You're going to go find your joy somewhere else. And
Hmm. Hmm.
thank you for whatever lesson. I love you. And that's it. Let them
Be
go.
free.
Yeah, exactly.
Be
Yeah.
free.
Not easy all the time.
No.
And it takes time sometimes to get there, and that's okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Kudos to you.
I mean,
You're
but
doing great work. You're
I
doing great.
try. I try. I don't put myself. I try, but I think that's the beauty of it. Just trying.
Yeah. Yes, because if we don't, then we can always say, well, what happened? Like, what would have happened if I did? At
Yeah.
least now we know,
Yeah.
you know.
It's always that stigma, right? And it goes way back, and we're like failure, that's it, you're done. And then like I keep, when I encounter conversations like that, but then how would you learn? Yeah, some are more natural that gets it like this in a blink of an eye. Others it takes practice and practice and practice. But like if you don't try, how would you know?
Right.
You can't just, sit there and all right, I try this, move on to something else. Like you got to put work to it.
Yeah. And you're going to fail.
Yeah.
I mean, I think everybody's still like, oh, I'm afraid to fail. And we've created a society that's like, oh my gosh, if you fail, then you're a loser or whatever.
Hmm.
But how do we learn if we don't fail?
Hmm.
So that I don't understand why people are like, well, I mean, I know I think we all have some level of not wanting to fail. I mean, we
Hmm.
always want to succeed. But if we realize that failure comes with the success, then it makes it the failures help us
Yeah.
as stepping stones instead. We can see it a little
Hmm.
differently as opposed to being crushed by it.
And also I think it's just sometimes we set so much expectation and we go through that.
Right?
Like for me, I know a lot. I go down to this vision and how things will play out.
Yeah, of
And
course.
often, well, most of the time, it doesn't
It
go according to how you envision it.
exactly. Yeah.
But I think that's just the excitement and,
Mm,
and the passion and the drive. But at least you did it.
yeah.
Like one thing I admire you and your family is that you guys write these amazing books. There's some people that don't even, write a title or the date on the paper and they're just contemplating,
Yeah.
and nothing happens.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think in a world in where we're learning about new things and things that we thought were never possible or possible, like, this is time you got to try. And if you and it's all about experience, right? Like I was talking to this old gentleman. He says, when you die, it's they'll sit down with you and they'll talk about your resume of life. Did you live? Did you do? Were you kind? Were you humble? And from that they'll judge you. And I took that to heart because then what life will you live?
Hmm.
Like everything, even getting on a plane or reaching out to a job you always wanted, even though
Hmm.
you're not qualified. But
Hmm.
sometimes you got to take a chance and roll the
Yes,
dice.
I agree. Absolutely. Yeah. And then also find some support for
Hmm.
yourselves, along the way. A lot of times, at least I felt a lot of times I need to do this on my own. I need to do this on my own. None of us are doing this life on our own.
Hmm.
There are people around us that can help support us. So if you are, I'm gonna bring it back to me for a second. If you
No,
are
go
thinking
ahead.
about writing a story and you think that somebody else has already written about it, you don't have time for it, who are you to write the story? Whatever reason you're giving yourself not to write about it, I can help you out with that because there's lots of reasons to write your story. And some of them are basic and some of them are personal. But mostly for your own growth and healing, I think it's really important to write your story. And then if you so desire, help other people along the way
Hmm.
too. Again, that's what we're here for. That's what we're here to do.
I
And
saw I saw in your email, like in your website, you're also helping others to publish their book, right?
yes,
So can
yes,
you
yes,
can
for
you
sure.
talk about a little bit about that?
Yes, so it was originally tied to the program to write your transformational story. So we've got the program to write your transformational story in a day. And that is for anyone who wants to start writing, whether it's and it can even be a fictional one if you want to, because a lot of times our fictional ones have some thread of us in there too,
Hmm.
but things aside. And if people do want to publish their book from that story, from the transformational story, I can help you step through the process in terms of editing, getting a cover design, and getting published at least on Amazon. If you want to go the route of traditional publishing, I can also help you with putting together your proposal, making sure it's a fully edited version so you can send that out to agents and things like that too. But I'm also working with authors as well who are just writing books in general, whether it's fiction, nonfiction, just helping people stay on track with their books as a writing coach, and then also with the editing and book design too.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's fun. It's fun. You meet really interesting people.
No, I can imagine.
Yeah,
That's that. I think that's a bonus part because
it
it's
it is.
like you said, like you're hear so many different stories.
Yeah. I'm sure you do too with the podcast. You have some really cool guests on. All
I
your
I
guests are cool. It's really neat.
I met some amazing people.
Yeah.
You know, you and your family are included in that, but like everyone has a story.
Yeah.
Everyone has a story, and I encourage anybody to do a podcast, write a book. It's remarkable. Like we're so like we're so many, and we're disconnected and connected at the same time.
Yeah. Yeah. I get it. Yep. Yep.
In your transition, is there a story that like you speaking to your clients, like any story that really caught your attention that you can share of?
I have so many. I mean, there are sometimes I finish up with a session and I say, I am so
Damn.
amazed at how resilient some people are and the
Yeah.
perspective they bring to what they're going through. I wonder what I would do in that situation. Do you know
Hmm.
what I mean? But some of the folks who I have been really inspired by, I guess a lot are the cancer folks. A lot
Yes.
of resilient people with going through not only either cancer or a death of a loved one, they're also going through a divorce or they've been diagnosed with a disease all at the same time, where they lost their job and there's just, it feels like, you know, three or four major things are happening in their life and their life is falling apart, but they find a way to see it differently and to walk through it. Yes, it's really difficult, but it reminds me of how with the right support and the right mindset, we are resilient people. We can, and sometimes we lose that resilience because, um, life gets to us.
Yeah.
I think of another story, just relationships ending in really odd ways you didn't think were going to happen. You didn't see it coming. Um, yeah, and I had a person again who lost their home through a fire through no fault of
Wow.
theirs, and how they're dealing with that. So there's so many things, people going through drug and alcohol addiction and getting on the other side of that, and how they're doing it, if they fall, if they come back, it's again, people who have been shot at, who have been in situations where they weren't sure if they were going to survive. There's so many, I guess, horrible things going on out there that we don't even know. I mean, somebody next to us standing in line has probably gone through something traumatic and we have no idea. And they're still doing life. They're still
Yeah.
going to the job, showing up and
Doing what they
surviving.
gotta do. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Uh,
What's incredible about that, right? What I find it incredible is that we need more, how do I say this, like normal Joes, right?
yeah,
The daily people, the people why I created this podcast for, right? And where those are the valid people that need to, hey, you're gonna be okay.
yeah,
Because most often we're just watching these people on a bigger screen who are more wealthy, who surpass that struggle, and they have
yeah,
different struggles because
true.
you know, and when you get to a certain level, you can't empathize what we're going through
Hmm.
because it's just like it's one thing that is very clear that I at least I've been able to understand in my life is that there's different levels to certain things.
Hmm.
And once you go higher, it's a different, headache.
Hmm.
But us that are here, and I think we're so valuable because we're the consistency.
I would
The
agree with that.
normal Joe is the consistency, and if we had more, a platform or our own screen dedicated to the individuals that are just trying to live their life,
Yeah.
because not every day it's I don't know how to put it. It's a parade or a party. We're just trying to, live our life to the fullest, enjoy it with our loved ones, live a little, and
Yeah.
continue doing what we gotta do. Not everything it's has to be on that hierarchy or higher level of things.
Right. Yeah. It does. It takes a certain, and I know lots of people do it, but lots of people don't.
Hmm.
Get up every day and go to work and
Hmm.
pay the bills and do it, like you said, what we have to do, but also enjoying finding the moments that we can enjoy
Yeah.
along the way. And if we can be each other's cheerleader,
Yeah.
if we need a little boost, let's give each other a boost. 'Cause
Yeah.
yeah,
And that's good. That's
yeah,
that's that's great.
Yeah.
I think, you know, in the transition of decades and years and, you know, social media, right? We lost that. In order to be happy, we have to be in that,
Right.
you know,
Yeah.
but like, man, you can have a good life.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be like for, you know, for a business owner. It's a headache. It's
Yeah.
a headache, right?
Yes, it
Right?
is.
Right?
Yes, it is. I could vouch for that.
It's a headache. And we do it for X, Y, and Z reasons, you know. You know, I did it because I just, you know, I don't want to put my boss in on a lock or something because, you know, he forgets to be human beings. But
Yeah.
like, also I like being independent. I like doing my own thing.
Mm.
I like you know, the beat of my own drum.
Exactly.
And
Yep.
that's okay. And that's not for everybody, but it's like you can have a good life.
Yep.
You can be happy.
Yes. I love that.
Well, yeah, there you have it.
There we have it.
There we have it.
Words of wisdom.
So how can we find your new book? Where do we go? Like,
So you can go on my website is PamelaAloia.com. That's PAMELAALOIA. Or you can go onto Amazon and search The Crystal Field, and you can find it there. If you're interested in the writing your transformational story in a day, you can go to the website is write and publish your transformational story. You can also go to my website, it's there too.
and that's also to publish, help them publish their book as well.
Yep, yep, you could do that as well. So yeah, that will give you a calendar, so you can just chat with me what you want to do. I do have another website. It's called blossomingeveryday.com. And that will also give you a little bit more information about the writing piece of what I do.
There you have, ladies and gentlemen. Make sure to follow her on
LinkedIn.
LinkedIn. She writes amazing content there. I tend to enjoy those reads that you post. So make sure you go follow her there. Message her, say hi. Any social medias that you have available?
So other than LinkedIn, as Pamela Aloia author, I also am on Facebook and Instagram. Facebook is Pamela Aloia author as well, and Instagram is Pamela Aloia 5.
Your past books, where they can find them as well. They shout them out.
Oh, the past books. They're all on Amazon too. So we've got the Daily Cloak, which is about energetic and centering and protection. We've got 52 Pick Me Up, which is a weekly inspirational book. We have The Current is Only But a Moment, which is a mindfulness book. And we have Nurturing Healthy Change, which is the helping yourself through change from a heartful standpoint.
Boom. There you have, ladies and gentlemen. Make sure you go purchase your copy now. Go support her, go show her some love. If you need help, contact her. She's there to help you. Make sure to follow me on Instagram, Mr.James510. Go like and subscribe my YouTube channel, DIOTALK TV. I'm on Facebook. All my episodes have been uploaded to Facebook. Go follow me at Theo Mark King DS. Have a good night, guys. I'm out.